where are we at? We're at this. So we have this kind of. So we've implemented some of the features of the Korg Monotron. We should probably change the name of this to from Untitled to we'll call it the Morg Conotron, just so we don't, you know, step on any copyright infringement. I mean, that's totally different to the Korg Monotron. The Morg Conotron. Excellent. Well done, Rory. Now, the next thing we're going to do is add, so we're going to resize this slightly so we can fit in a button. And I'm going to go into edit mode and I'm going to grab, I'm just going to grab these and I'm going to pull them over here and I'm going to make the keyboard slightly bigger. And I'm just going to make that go over. And because I'm a bit kind of pedantic when it comes to dimensions, like nice even numbers, and X, Y, so I'll make that 20 and I'm going to set that to be 4. And I'm going to set, so that's 460, so I'm going to set this to be 464. No, 466. That's just about right. No, I think 468. Yeah, 468, of course, it's 468. Anyway, right, I'm going to go back into edit mode and I'm going to add a checkbox, okay, which I can use. Well, actually, let me add a, checkbox. Okay, I'm going to add 2 checkboxes, right? So I'm going to set this one up to be text and I'm going to put in LFO. Or what do they call it on the Monotron thing? They call it cutoff or pitch mod. Yeah, but we're kind of deviating from the kind of a thing because the pitch is kind of a throw off. Let's see if we can think of a better name from here. We've got switch pitch mod, cutoff mod. Oh no, right, that's what the pitch mod does. Okay, the pitch mod changes the actual frequency of the note rather than the cutoff frequency. Yeah, okay then, right, back to this. Okay, well, we can still put this in anyway. We'll call it LFO mod and we'll save that and then we'll put in a pitch mod and we'll say that this is 30 and XY 30. I'm going to make that 60 and 30 and 30, 18 and 18. Okay, they'll be on top of each other like so. Okay, and I'm just going to resize this again after all that mess, and I have to resize it again so I can fit these things in. Going to go to edit mode, going to grab these, pull them over there and push these a little bit up here and drag this over there, and I will just leave it at that. Come on, where's the thing? There, right, there it is. Okay, and I'm just going to change the size of this to 240. Okay, right, now. So, and I'm going to give this a channel. I'm going to call this channel LFO. I'm going to call it enable LFO. And I'm going to set this one to channel enable pitch. And I'm also going to set these up as a radio group. So I'm going to give this a value of 99. So when I add them to a radio group, it means that only one of them is going to be on at any one time. And I'm going to set the value. So I'm going to set the pitch mod to be on from the start. Actually, no, I'm going to set the filter to be on from the start. So when we do these now, if we click this one, the other one goes off and this one goes off because they're part of a radio group. Now, I'm also going to change the color because it's pretty ugly, and I'm going to change the color of this one as well because I find that pretty ugly too. But so now we get kind of this, right? Okay, and actually I'm just going to change the background color as well to be white. No, okay, so we have, all right, let's first of all just make sure that kind of once so we're going to use an if statement. If you can get k enable LFO is equal to 1, then do this. Just for the time being, we'll just put an end if there as well. So, and we'll just bring that back a little bit. So that means that it's only going to, well, that actually means that we're going to get an error. Let's do this. Else end if, and we're just going to say for the time being ALP is equal to 0. Okay, so there's the LFO mod. We change it to pitch mod, we get nothing, okay, because when we change it to pitch mod, we're setting the output variable to be 0, so that's why we don't hear anything. Now, right, what happens with the pitch mod is that the frequency of the VCO changes over time, but the cutoff filter is fixed, right? So in order to do this, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this AVCO out of here and I'm going to put it into here first of all, which isn't going to change how anything sounds. Okay, and now in here I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to paste that in there. I'm going to remove this, right? And wait for it. I'm going to multiply the frequency by our LFO. Okay, now, so what's going on here, right, with this if statement? So these if statements are kind of a way of blocking off code. So code is only going to get executed when something is true. So when this condition is true, this code is going to be executed, the code here. If this condition is not true, then this code is going to be executed. Okay, so in our case, this code here will be executed every time enable LFO. So every time this is on, okay? Every time this is on, this code is going to be executed. Okay, so we can kind of switch between which code gets executed. And what's happening in this code then, we've got AVCO and then we've got VCO2. So AVCO again is the output variable, VCO2 is the opcode. Again, we're just using this simple MADSR to modify the amplitude over time. And then we're doing ifreq multiplied by k LFO, right? So we know the k LFO is going to generate a signal that goes from 1 down to 0 and 1 down to 0. So that means it's going to modify our pitch. So actually we can have a listen to that now and see what it sounds like. Not that, please, but not that either. Save, right, so we got this. And then if we go to pitch mod, it sounds like that. Okay, so I can increase the cutoff. That's just every time I hit an A, it plays this very low note on the keyboard, C1. Now, because I don't have a Monotron here in front of me, I can't tell you if it goes right down to 0 Hertz. I doubt it does. It seems a bit. Now, so while you can make a decision here, or some of you, if you have a Monotron, you can decide. So what we could do is we could say ifreq. So let's say, for example, if ifreq is 440, at the moment it means it's going to go from the frequency of our note is going to go from 440 if we play 440 all the way down to 0 each once every second if our rate is set to 1. Now what we might want to do is maybe make it go from 440 down, or from 880 maybe down to 440. So we want to scale it. So in that case what we can do is say ifreq multiplied by KLFO plus ifreq. Okay, so now it's going to start. If we play 440, it's going to start at 880, and then it's going to come down to 440. It's going to start off an octave above and then jump down. I don't know, maybe you want that. So if we go. So it finishes on the, instead of starting on the initial note, it finishes on the initial note. Okay, so that's kind of implements all the different aspects of the Korg Monotron. Of course, it doesn't sound like the Korg Monotron because we don't have the same filters. We don't have the kind of digital emulations of the Korg filters that are in it. But it kind of takes you through the basic steps involved. I suppose if I was to do a little bit more work on this, I might add, for example, a group box, and I'm going to give this some text, and I'll text the group box, and I'll text the group box, hey guys, how it's going. No, I'm going to put some text in the group box, and I'm going to say, what are these controlling? Okay, filter, and I'm going to set the color of the group box to be transparent. Okay, so I got a group box there. Now just one thing, if I didn't set the color that's transparent, it would appear on top of all the other controls. I'm just going to put it at the bottom. So the way the widgets appear in Cabbage when you declare the widget section up here, this will be on the bottom layer, and this will be in the top layer. So they're kind of layered on top of each other. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to go back into edit mode, and I'm going to pull that up here. Okay, well, I'm going to do some work here. I'm just going to grab this, pull all of these down a little bit. Let's see, it's hard to see because it's a white thing, but I can, yes, okay. And I'm going to drag these down as well. Oops, I didn't want to get that one. I'm going to drag these down. Okay, and now I'm going to grab the filter, and I'm going to put the filter up here. Maybe I want to set the outline color of the filter to maybe some kind of gray. And then I'm going to copy and paste that filter, and I'm going to put another one. I'm going to call it LFO, and I'm just going to set the value over here for this. Okay, and then I'm going to resize this by 10, and then I'm going to resize the keyboard. I'm going to edit mode, just resize the keyboard. Okay, and I'm going to save that, and now we've got now it just kind of puts those controls in little group boxes that are easier to understand what those controls relate to. I suppose I could also put one over here and kind of, oh, why not? Why not indeed? I will create a new group box, and I will put this over here, and I will call this modulator, and I'm going to set the width of that to be a little bit not so wide. Okay, that's a bit too wide. Let's say I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to put this over here and zoom. Oh, so I'm just going to move this one over slightly and save. Okay, right, there you go. So, oh yeah, in the next video we're going to show how to export this and bring it into a DAW like live. So, and that will kind of conclude. It's very rushed and kind of very what can I say, ill-thought series of tutorials on how to develop a basic synthesizer with Cabbage.